Consider the elementary, and all my siblings.
Please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anything that needs to be removed from the consent agenda? I do not. No. Okay, we have a special activity this morning, and that is to swear in Russell, do trees. I think April 1st is his day.
Well, that's the one. That's all you get. I'm out of it.
Go ahead, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name.
I, Russell Carolus,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
as fiscal officer of Clearcreek Township,
as fiscal officer of Clearcreek Township,
Warren County, State of Ohio,
Warren County, State of Ohio,
to which office I have been elected
to which office I have been elected,
according to the law and the best of my ability
according to the law and the best of my ability,
during my continuance in office.
during my continuance in office.
Glad
Thank
you're
you.
back, Russell.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you for doing that, Ed, and I want to thank the board too for all the work that you guys do. I mean, you guys really, it's a job to be a public servant, and it's a wonderful thing as well. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Your wife probably thought you were going to actually retire, but we drug you out.
I think she's happy in the long
He
run.
needs to keep working.
Make sure that makes a minute.
Yeah, right. The first one to champ 4 more years.
Exactly.
8 more years. Yeah.
She went to beat Ed's record.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Wait. More than just great. Okay. Anything from public comment? Doesn't look like it. And we have fiscal business. Russell, anything?
No, nothing for this section now.
Okay. And we have new business. We have the police department resolution 5493, a resolution accepting the donation by bequest, device, deed, or gift otherwise of real personal property of any township use and dispensing with the second reading. So,
One thing I wanted to state on this too is that when normally we get these checks, we should deposit them within 72 hours of it. So if there is an issue where we don't want that, then we'll have to write a check back out to those particular people.
oh,
So just so you know, that's how the process will be if that ever happens.
that shouldn't often be a...
No, it should not often be a thing, but just so you're aware of the process.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve 5493?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsfall? Yay. Mr. Evans?
Yay.
Mr. Wood?
Okay. Then under administration, we have 5494, resolution authorizing the township administrator to incur obligations greater than $10,000 on behalf of the township and dispensing with the second reading.
Yeah, these are 3 items that exceed the statutory authority and the legislative authority from this board for my spending authority. And they're all 3 budgeted items on our annual appropriation budget and have been for years and years. So it's about $20,000 for DJL materials for the mastic patching, about $12,000 for crack sealing, and the annual donation to the Warren County Drug Task Force, who was here a couple weeks ago, for $17 and change.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
On this one as well, I want to make sure that we don't get into the thing of unintended are we going to be doing this on every single expenditure above $10,000?
Yeah, I think this clears it up so folks, so there isn't any
The
question about it.
reason why I want to bring this up is the idea that if we pass this as legislation and we delay the second reading, any expenditure that I'm allowed to make has to wait 30 days. So if, for example, somebody comes before the board and wants to spend something under the current thing, I can actually, as soon as you authorize it as a motion and approval, I can create a purchase order for that. If we do it as a resolution and we don't do it as an emergency, then I have to wait 30 days to be able to create that purchase order. So, you know, just to take that in an extension, if we took it as an emergency to try to do it, then we might run into a problem where Steve has a fire engine that needs to be fixed and it's more than $10,000, or the chief has something, or the roads has something that's about $10,000. And we have an emergency. If one of the board members isn't here, we'll not be able to pass it as an emergency. So I just want to have I don't want to have the law of unintended consequences hit us with this.
So I would typically, and do this process in another township jurisdiction, just so there's clear where the tension in the law that Russ is bringing up is. You have Matt's authority, which is only up to $10,000, and then you have stuff that we pass by contract, separately by resolution when you enter a contract. For instance, when you award a bid, you enter a separate resolution to authorize that particular contract. Where this is kind of in that donut hole of we don't necessarily have a big contract that needs to be entered, just more of an authorization for a PO. But if you do these by emergency, to Russ's point, that takes care of it. Then you can always come back and pass it as an emergency 2 weeks later when everybody's here, or you need a special meeting, so you can do that. It's just the tension in the law about the $10,000 of the authorization and so forth. So
the only real hiccup here is if we don't have enough 3 board members here, then we can't pass it as an emergency.
in which case, again, whenever you need the money, you just come back and do it as a special meeting, you come back and do it at the next meeting 2 weeks later, because that would still be shorter than passing it, waiting a second reading, and then waiting 30 days.
Yeah, we don't want to wait 30 days.
Right, right.
And
So
most of the quotations that we have that, you know, expire within 30
days typically, right?
And so what we want to do is make sure that we have the authority to be able to do those in a timely manner.
Right.
And I worry about stuff like this where, you know, if he has to get his fire engine back in service, or we have an emergency like the roads where he has to fix something immediately, you know, and we're going to be counting on everybody to be here instead of 2 or 3.
It's just a situation where, because of the tension in the law between the authority and the emergency and how those work, and unanimous, we just have to.
I'm not arguing against it. I just.
Neither am I.
You know, it's just, I want.
We might have to have a few more special meetings.
Yeah, it's just.
Everybody's going to be out of town.
It's just the tension that we have.
Go back in a little bit.
Well, should we consider some type of process for an emergency expenditure for, say, an emergency piece of equipment that's out of service and we need to get repaired within days, not weeks?
Well, you still have to, if it's over $10,000, you're still going to have to,
Well, except I guess you can use Matt's authority for 10.
under 10 and under, yeah.
Or should we break it into 10?
Can't do that. Well, but there's some authority about not being able to necessarily, you're doing it a serial way, because then that gets around I'm not saying that's what you're suggesting, I'm saying that's what we have to be careful of, that we get around that, you know,
Yeah,
the 10-10-10 rule, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't think we can, Steve, without going through this
I
kind
mean,
of process.
there's nothing that you have done on a fire truck that's $10,000 or less. I mean, that's almost never.
That's kind of what I'm proposing, is maybe you talk about this 10,000 authorities, we use that for typical everyday operations, but maybe we consider some type of procedure that authorizes a higher level of expenditure for an emergency.
I guess my point is, I don't think we can do that. You can't, this is why I'm saying that's the tension.
That's getting around the
That's the tension in the law, that's getting around the 10,000.
Well, the 10,000 is statutory.
Right.
Set, and I don't know if there's any flexibility.
Yeah, there is none. Yeah, that's
So
my
even
point.
as a home rule, we can't change that, or?
No, not statutory authority, not the limited home rule. You can if you were a municipality, but we're not doing that.
Well, that's all I have to say. That's all I got.
So with this resolution, can we call an auto or pass it by emergency?
Sure, we would need to amend it, and you could,
and we just amend it to add an emergency clause, and obviously the reason for the emergency is so that it can be effective immediately, so you can pay the bills. We just need to write that into the resolution, which we can type in later, if the board wants to make that motion to amend, to make it an emergency clause.
We do that on
effective
an
immediately.
individual time.
Yeah.
When it comes up, we
Yeah,
can't.
my suggestion is that the emergency clause, I should have talked this over with Matt in one sense beforehand, but I appreciate understanding it more now. I would, as a matter of course, have an emergency clause in all these. That way you don't have to worry about it. And trying to pay, and that is,
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have a lot of unintended
Well,
consequences.
and the relationship you have with your
We can do
vendors
the higher spend.
should be, they ought to be able to take care of
matter
it
of sectors can do it.
regardless.
Yeah.
But back to the emergency clause issue, I would put that in every one of these, and that way you don't have to, because again, that is, in my legal opinion, that this is always an emergency as defined. You need the effective date right away, so you can pay the bill and not wait. So,
That's it.
now I apologize, I've forgotten where we are in the process. Did we approve this yet?
No.
Okay.
Call the motion, yeah.
Thank you. So I think we need a motion to amend this resolution to add an emergency clause. We'll write it in later to say something to the effect of, the reason for the emergency is to be able to pay these bills at the earliest possible time.
Okay.
So moved.
That's for 5494.
Yeah.
Amend it first.
Yeah. So you gotta have that language. Yeah.
Second, is that a second, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Now you need a motion to approve the amended with the emergency clause.
Is there a motion to approve the amended resolution with emergency clause?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Thank you. And now I think that will implement a process that will be, although it doesn't seem like it through our discussions, it will be much more streamlined and.
Sure doesn't feel like a Monday morning.
It all.
I mean, it's 9:12, but we managed to show what was wrong with the government.
Well, it's not wrong with us, it's
I know.
what the parameters that
I understand.
we have to work with.
Well, they're antiquated numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we've not seen a move in these numbers in how long?
Well, it's funny because the Matt's equivalent, if you were a municipality, is 75,000.
Right. Right. And we're 10.
Right.
Which, to Ed's point,
Makes sense.
you can get too tired.
Right.
Well, one more question. What if a trustee is indisposed and for an extended period of time, and we're only gonna have two at meetings?
Steve, I hear your point. This is a General Assembly revised code problem, not a, we've got what we got.
Do we still have the authority to have a remote
No.
participant? They removed that?
No, they removed that. I don't think this is gonna come up, guys. I mean, I think we're in a donut hole. It doesn't come up. It hasn't, since 2014, I don't think this has ever come up. Since I've been here. Okay.
It's come up over 10,000.
No, a point where we need a bill paid and we can't get it.
No, and I thought, yeah, we need to talk about that offline, because I thought we had had situations where we knew we needed to do it, and then we would come together and approve it after the fact.
Well, it may be that we think about that process too, because there is an emergency provision in the code. It's typically talking about an emergency like COVID. It's not talking about an emergency in terms of payment, but we could look at that.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Friday at 4 o'clock, we have a fire truck go down. We gotta fix it.
Well, I would also think that whoever you're dealing with would understand that they're dealing with a public entity that will eventually be good on it, but maybe not. I'm not, maybe I shouldn't be this confident, but I'm not that worried about this happening. Now, it's easy for me to say it's not one fire truck being repaired, but.
You just seal the deal that it will be.
Yeah.
Well, that's my point, Brian, is you brought this forward, and going forward, we have a new process that we need to follow, but if we don't follow that process and we have something that we need to do emergency-wise, it's gonna be complicated. I'm just trying to figure out what we're gonna do when that happens, instead of trying to scramble at 4 o'clock on a Friday to figure it out. That's all I'm trying to do, is say, if that happens, what do we do?
I guess my point, Steve, is I can't do anything about the revised code provisions. I can't come up with a process that says, Matt, give you more than $10,000. I can't come up with a process that allows these folks to come in and only vote as an emergency for 2 of the 3. That's not a process I can do. The process is gonna be, these guys will have to come in and pass a special meeting as soon as possible.
That's all I was looking for.
Yeah, and then, you know, as we're upset with us, the vendors probably, they're not gonna know, unless you're gonna, you know.
And there is a provision in the revised code that allows for the board to meet on an emergency basis without public notice. You just have to give it as soon as you possibly can.
Right, and it's 24-hour notice, otherwise it's a special meeting, right?
That's all I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, things change. Okay, resolution 5495, a resolution authorizing the Clearcreek Township tenant to acknowledge and consent to the easement being granted by the city of Springboro landlord to Duke Engineering on the real property on which Station 24 is being constructed. Dispense with the second reading.
Lease was signed.
Yep.
He knows that they want the township to acknowledge the easement of water. Before that.
Yep. So motion to approve 5495.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Williams?
Yay. We have 5496, a resolution approving memorandum of understanding by and between the Board of Clearcreek Township Trustees and the International Association of Firefighters Local 4207, and dispense with the second reading, declaring an emergency.
So this revealed itself toward the end of last year, when there was some questions, the punchability of the entire compensation from the 2 week for our firefighters and the potential rules that exist. So, the language changed by MOU authoring Article 20.1, and making it retroactive to this contract should mitigate issues with that going forward. And it's not, it has nothing to do with the negotiation cycle, it's just coincidental timing.
Just timing issue. Guys, anybody have any comments or anything? Okay. Anybody have any questions? Is there a motion to approve 5496?
So moved.
Second?
Mearsclaw? Mr.
Yay.
Mears? Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Williams?
Yay.
Steve got right. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Road, anything else under new business for Matt? Anything else?
Yeah.
Road department, you have anything?
Just let you know, we started emptying the salt bin today. So, we're gonna get rolling with that too.
What are we taking?
Wayne Township.
Like the only township for the rest?
Huh?
For the rental space?
Absolutely.
I thought we were taking it to Steve's house.
We could.
My idea is cheaper. Okay. If Ed's gotta pay for everything, Steve should source it, at least. Just saying, we gotta spread it out a little bit, that's, no, that's good that Wayne's helping.
Yeah. How much are you estimating you have?
About 150, 175.
Yeah, well, good for them. Planning and zoning, new business.
Nothing to say. I could take more time if you'd like, but.
He said no, Ed, let's move on.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yes. Staff update, anything at this time?
No, just executive session.
We have an executive session scheduled. I'd like to entertain a motion to recess the regular meeting and open an executive session. And
Before you go there, Mr. Wade,
Yes.
to answer Steve's obvious, understandable concern, 505.82 does say the following, that the board may contract for the immediate acquisition, replacement, or repair of equipment needed for an emergency situation without following competitive bidding or any other section of the revised code. So, worst case scenario, with two, but you still have to do it in a meeting. So you still gotta convene a meeting regardless. So if you got all three, you would just pass it as an emergency and not worry about it. If you only have two, we could invoke this provision.
Okay.
So we're good.
So then I could create a PO for him to get that done if needed. then.
Yeah, either under the general emergency provision or under what I just read, 505.2, the nomenclature is hard to read here, I guess it's A2. So, yeah,
What's it, 505 what?
505.82, A2. A2, Bruce?
We're all done.
Yeah, we're all done.
Scott, motion to,
Yes. So motion, we should vote on the motion to
Yeah.
recess and enter into executive session.
so moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
I don't think we'll have any business to.
Hey, Russ, can we go back on for a second? I didn't hear the reason for the executive session,
Oh.
I don't think.
and I didn't see it either, so yeah.
Consider compensation of the public.
Just make sure that gets in
Yeah, I
the, we need to reopen and make sure we do that motion for that reason.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You want me to review it now then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Did you read some sort of law attorney this weekend?
Would you again, so.
Yeah, we're gonna reopen the regular meeting.
Yeah.
And revise this resolution for executive session, and make note that we are going to consider compensation of a public employee. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. He was not watching that.
Thank you all.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, it's about 9:57, time to reconvene our regular meeting, and I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.